In this video, we are going to create this beautiful art in Flutter. Trust me, this is not a quite big math here, so don't be afraid of it. It is also used to describe the irrational pi behavior. In order to create our project on Visual Studio, I'll press Ctrl+Shift+P and select Flutter New Project. After selecting project, I am going to select empty application and where I like to save this project. So I'll use this folder white key record and select this one, and let's name it whatever you want. I'm using Irrational Pi and press enter. It will take some time to build the application, so we'll be patient here. After it finishing generating all the files, we can go to our main.dart file and we can see we have our beautiful hello world application. To run this project, I will go at the top on run section and I'll select run without debug. And then I'll choose Windows as my build system. It will take some time and our hello world application will pop up. This is our nice little clean hello world application. I will remove the material app on the top level. I will wrap the main.app with the material app and replace this child with home. So we're good to go. And use a cons for the warning. Don't worry about this red dot, we'll do a hot restart and it will get fixed. To hide the debug banner, we'll call debug show check mode banner and set to the false. This will hide our top right debug banner. And now we will replace this center widget with our widgets. I will replace this center widget with a column because we will be using a few different elements here. And the center widget can hold only one item, but we need to hold multiple items. Animation will be continue over the time, so I'll create a timer object and it will come from the dark async. This comes from the Flutter SDK itself, not the pub.def async package. So in order to create this timer, we'll create two different functions. One is for the start timer, another one is to stop the timer. So let's proceed. So we'll create our start timer function here. In this timer function, we will assign the timer variable. So for this one, this will be a periodic timer. I will use timer.periodic. And it takes two different things. One is the interval, which is a duration object. Another one is the callback, which will be called on every iteration. That means on every duration. Let's create an interval here. So I'll pass this interval on this duration one, and on this callback we will have a timer instance. So from this callback we'll use the t we can use for the timer and use the body here. But I don't care about this timer, I'll use the underscore. Whenever you'd like to ignore something, use the underscore. And here the things will be called on every interval. So let's hold it for now. We'll come back here. Let's create our another method to stop this timer. To stop the timer, I'll create another void function which will be stop timer. And in this function, I will cancel the timer, set null to the timer, and that's it. We are not going to do any more fancy stuff here. So we'll collapse this method as well. In this column, I will add a child called elevated button. We need to provide two different things here. One is onPress, another is a child which takes a widget. We'll use a text widget, and if the timer is active, then we'll show the stop text and else we'll show the start text. I am using this null except variable because I am handling if it is true or not. And on press, I will check the timer is active, then I will call the stop timer function, else the start timer. So let's build our UI. The bottom is kinda at the top left. We can wrap this elevated button with a center widget. So I'll wrap this button with the center widget and it will move to the center. So far so good. And at the top level, we like to have our custom painter that will paint our beautiful UI. So I'll wrap with expanded, it will take the full size. And I like to have some padding around the column, so I'll wrap with the padding too. In order to paint on custom paint, we need to provide a custom painter. So if I come to the custom paint here and check, it takes a painter instance. Currently we don't have any. Let's create a custom painter. We'll go to the bottom and here I'll create a custom painter class. You can name it whatever you want, and this we need to override two different methods. One is the paint function where the beauty will happens, another one is the should repaint. If it returns a true, that means it will repaint this paint function, else it will not. Let's return true for now. Let's use our circle rotation painter on our custom paint widget. Currently we don't have anything on our paint method, so let's do a rectangle for the time being. So I will use canvas.drawRect. First argument it will take a rectangle and the second argument it takes a paint instance. For the rectangle I will be using rectangle from left, top, width and height. And for the left and top I am passing 0 and the width and height I will be using size.width and size.height. An inline instance paint and use the color. Hey, it is not showing anything, so let's call the child and use the sizebox.expand. And if I do a hot restart, I can see the whole UI having a red color, of course without the padding. But I like to make it a circle, so I'll wrap this custom paint with a aspect ratio and provide the ratio 1. But hey, this is not a square. There are 3 golden rules in Flutter layout. Constraints goes down, size goes up, parent position the children. So for this one to be fixed, I'll wrap this expected ratio with a center widget. And now if I do a hot restart, we can see our perfect square. Let's get back to the beauty. And now we can remove this thing. First I will create a center variable and it will be an offset instance. So for the offset, first it takes the width and second it takes the height. For the width I will use the size.width and divide it by 2 because we like to get in the center, and same goes for the height. I also like to get the radius of this canvas. While it is a square, but we cannot be sure that the depth will not mess with this expected ratio. So I'll use math.min and it takes 2 different arguments. One is A, another one is B. Based on the minimum value, it will return that one. And I will divide it by 2 because it's a radius. I'll go at the top and import this math file with a math prefix. So now if I come here, it is good. Let's do a hot restart to reload the canvas. Now I'll draw a circle without filling the color. For that we have few methods. Let's try a drawable method. So I will call the canvas.drawable and it takes 2 different arguments. One is the rect, another one is the paint. For the rect, I will be using rect from circle, and this one also takes 2 different arguments. One is the center offset that we already have one, and the radius. We also have this one. So we'll provide this too. And let's create a outline paint instance so that it can be reused. For this outline paint, first I will set the color, then stroke is equal to 1, and also I like to style it as a stroke, not the fill. So I'll specify it here. And then let's do a cap around it. And now if I do a hot restart, I can see circle. And if I just comment this style, we can see it get filled out. Also, let's set the canvas background as a black, so I'll go to the scaffold and background color set to the black. Now it's look better in my eyes and we will have less bug. Let us increase the padding a little bit. So I'll use 64 and do a hot restart. Yeah, this looks good. Now let's go to the bottom. Now I'll draw a circle in the middle of it. For that we can also use the draw a wall as previously we have did it. So from here I'll use that rectangle from center, use the same center but the width and height will shrink it down. So let's keep it 5 for the time being. And for the paint method we like to have it fill, so I'll just create a paint instance and provide the color. You can do a hot restart to see the updated UI. What we have done so far, we have drawn a circle at the middle position and a rounded one. We understand the degree pretty well, but the computer doesn't. It uses the radian in Flutter. So we'll create a method that takes a degree and returns the radian. Let's position a circle at 45 degree. So first of all, I'll be creating an angle variable and use our method and provide 45. It will give the angle in radian. And now I'll use this angle to get the offset. To get the offset, we'll use our betifult. This is quite elementary, and let me know if you don't know it or I have to swap it. While this is a circle, it doesn't matter. If you like to play with this, how this thing works, I have another file, you can run it from our repo. So yeah, let's draw the circle. To draw the circle, I am not going to use the draw oval, I'll be using the draw circle method. And it takes 3 different arguments. First, it takes the center offset, then it takes the circle radius, and the paint one. And for the paint, I like to glue a little bit, so I'll be using a green and sand color. Now if I do a hot restart, we can see our green circle around the sphere. We can change this value. Instead of 45, if we change to the 90 and do a hot restart, we can see it is moving to the anti-clockwise. And we can increase it and it's move around. So we have played with it enough. And this is not the thing will happen here, we'll change it with our timer. So for that I'll create a variable on our painter class and it will be angle, and let's use a constructor to get it from the parent widget. And now let's go to our custom paint where I have used this painter. Here it expects a argument. I will pass the timer.tick and it is a nullable, so for the default value I'll be passing 0. Now if I do a hot restart, and start the timer, but hey, this doesn't get rebuilt. One reason is we have a static value here, so we need to change this to our parameter, but hey, we already have an angle one. Maybe I will change it here, yeah, but here is the thing, this degree to rand expect double. So I'll come here and change it to the double. And at the top I have this integer, let's convert here to the double because I don't want to have something internally. To get revealed on every second, we can use animated builder. And it expects animation, but we don't have any. We just have a timer instance, but this is not animation. We can create a value notifier instance at the top, and I'll be using a double with the initial 0 value. And on every interval, this value will get changed. I will replace this timer with a value notifier and animation builder. We can override our build method, and on this builder I'll just return our custom painter so it get triggers on every value changes. Now if I do a hot restart, it won't be doing anything because I haven't updated the value, so I will increment the value by 1. So it knows the value has been changed and the animation builder will rebuild. There is also another thing I like to do. Because this is a value notifier, I can directly use on our canvas API. So I'll replace this timer, I'll pass the value notifier directly. So I'll copy this one, I'll go back to my custom paint class, and instead of this angle here, I'll replace it. I'll replace with our value notifier, and this one goes here. Add column, and I have forgot to add the final one, so add final. And so far so good, but this is not the angle one, so I can replace this angle value notifier dot value. Now if I do a hot restart and press the start button, we can see this thing is rotating, and if I stop it, it's stop. Now I like to draw a connection line from the red circle to the green circle, so I'll use canvas dot draw line. And for the first offset it will be the center one, and I like to reach the green one, so that is the offset one. And for the paint method I can pass our outline paint, which will have the same color. And now if I do a hot restart, I can see I have a connection line, and if I press start, it's move along. Congratulations, we have achieved quite a good progress. Now we'll be drawing another circle that will rotate along the green one, and which will be multiplied by pi. This is the thing we are trying to do. So for that, like as before, let's create another variable called pi ball angle, and we have our value notifier value, and we will multiply by math.pi. Because that's the radian, we cannot just directly multiply that radian here, else it will be messed up. We want the actual rotation and multiply by pi. And same, we like to get the offset on that degree. So I'll call a pi ball offset and use the same formula to get a new or pi ball offset. And in order to draw our pi offset, we can just copy our previous one and paste it here. And we need to change the offset here. It will be pi offset, change to the orange color. And let's change the radius to maybe 4. And if I do a hot restart, hey, our pi ball is not visible. Let me show you where it is. Let's press the start. We can see it comes. You see that here? Yeah, it is rotating and it is working fine. But why it is happening? Because our radius is width divided by 2. But it is having 2 different radius, which is quite a big. I mean, this is the full width of the canvas, so we need to divide by 4 instead of 2. So we'll go to our radius variable and we'll divide it by 4. Now if I do a hot restart, now our circle grid shrink, and we can see it is quite good. So I like to connect that line from green to the white circle. Now I will come to the button and connect that line. For that I already have a draw line. I'll copy it and paste it here. So this thing will come from the Bible offset and it goes to the white one. So I'll copy the Bible offset and replace with this offset one, but hey, this start point is the offset which is our green ball. So I'll copy and paste it here. Now if I do a hot restart, we can see that it is visible and it is looking good. In order to draw the travel path, the spiral shape, we need to keep track that white ball position and we can get it from this pi ball offset. So we need to create a list to store this one. So I'll go at the top and let's create it here. I know, the global variable isn't a good thing. But hey, just for the sake of simplicity, I will just keep it here. So we need to add those Bible offset on that list. So I'll come here at the bottom and call that pi travel points dot add and our Bible offset. We also need to draw these offset points. In order to draw that, we can use the draw points. It takes three different arguments. One is the paint mode and next is the points which will be painted and the third one is the paint itself. So paint has others more than polygon. Polygon is just connecting one point to the another. We'll talk about it later. And for the paint, let's do some fancy color so that it can glow. Let's do a hot restart and press the start button. Wow, we have made a pretty good, beautiful pi rotation, whatever it calls, irrational pi circle. And this is quite beautiful. We have one little drawback. Let me come at the top and wrap this animated builder or aspect ratio. I think I'll wrap the animated builder with the interactive viewer widget and so that we can zoom it. There's a thing I'm trying to point out. So do some scaling here. Let's leave it 16. A mean scale like 1 or 0.5. Whatever, mean scale doesn't matter. Clip dot none so that it can paint outside. So if I do a hot restart now and zoom the panel, we can say that this is not quite a perfect line, and let me do it. You can see this is just a connected line. If it is not clear to you, let me come at the bottom and replace these points here. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this center one and use some random points. Let's do a hot restart. Now you can see this is just a line, not the circular shape, not the arc. And let me change a little bit here so I can use it at 30, something like. And you can see this is just a line. So this is not quite the good shape we want. We gonna replace these drop points with a Bezier curve. If you don't know what is a Bezier curve, it is the most beautiful thing I like. And I will mention some of the YouTuber. You can follow her. This is a quite good, beautiful video. And so let's create a path first. I will name it by travel path. It is just a path and let's create this one. So first of all, in order to get the middle path, I need to make sure I have more than one travel point. So if pi travel points length greater than 2, we will move our path initial point to our first pi travel point. So now I loop through from the second item to the last second item. And for that I will create a for loop which I will be 1 and it will move until length minus equal to 1. It is because we like to get the middle point, and for that we need to consider our first path and the next one, and then we'll get the middle point. So P1 is the current one and P2 will be the plus 1. In order to get the middle point, we can use p1.dx plus p2.dx and divided by 2, it will give us the x index, and for the y, we'll do p1.dy plus p2.dy divided by 2. So it will get the midpoint offset. And we will use this in our Bezier curve. So we have a method in Paint, it called quadratic Bezier 2. We're going to use this one. If you don't know about this curve, let me show you. It takes 4 different arguments. The x1 and y1 is used to control the x2 and y2. x2 and y2 is the endpoint. If you need more than one control point, you can use conic too. I'll share a Freya's video, you can follow her to learn more about Bezier curve. For the x1 argument, I will pass p1.dx, and for the y1, I will pass p1.dy. For the endpoint x2, I will pass midpoint.dx, and for the y2, I will pass midpoint.dy. So here a quick recap. The P1 is the control point and the midpoint will be drawn to that path. That means that's the point. And it will loop through on each point. And lastly, while we haven't included the last one, we will add end of this loop. And now in order to draw this path, we can use canvas.drawPath. This takes 2 different arguments, one is the path and second one is the paint. For the path, we'll pass by travel path here, and for the paint we can use our previous paint, but this one will be stock. Now if I do a hot restart and bring our UI here and press this start button, and we have a beautiful thing. I know we made a mistake earlier, let's fix it. So what I have to do, I have to change this dx to the dy. And now if I do a hot restart, we can see it is quite beautiful. And now let's start again and zoom a little bit. We can see our line is quite better now. And this is curvy, not the line of that polygon. Now we can improve this design a little bit more. If we zoom it, we can see our red circle is behind this curve and the points. We will bring at front. For that, I will go at the top and cut those things here. One is the red circle. Let's cut it and place at the end of this method. Now our red circle is on front. Let's do the same for other spot. I will cut the circle and line and paste just above it. Now it is on the front. Also we have another line here. Let's cut the circle and line and put it here. Now this is R at the front. We are quite happy what we have now. We can play the start and we can see this is doing great. Now I like to show a timer at the top. It will indicate how much time we have passed. I'll use a text widget for this and wrap with a padding. So this will be a duration from the time.tick, and if it is null we're getting 0. If we are wondering why I have multiplied by 10, you can see we have a interval as 10. And then I'll convert to the string. And I have used a substring method because I don't want to show the end zeros. Also, I have used a text style with the color white. It is because we are having in the black background. Let's do a hot restart and play. But our timer is not working. It is because we haven't rebuilt the UI. We can call setState here. It will trigger the UI update on every interval. Now if I do a hot restart and play, we can see our timer is working. And here, this is all I like to do. Before that, maybe we can improve a little bit. We can directly use our value notifier and replace the animation builder. We don't need it anymore. Also, we can wrap the custom paint with a repaint boundary. I haven't included this in here, but you can always find those the source code. I have included everything on the description. In order to change the initial rotation, you can replace this value notify initial value with the rotation you like to have. I'm using 270 and you can see that it has changed after a hot restart. You can place it anything here and do a hot restart. It will bring the initial position at that value. So if I do a play, and it is quite beautiful. This paint is overlapping with the button. Maybe we'll add some more padding. Let's go back to our custom paint. And we have it here. Let's wrap with a padding widget. And increase a little bit if needed. We'll be using 24, I guess. Let's do a hot restart and bring our UI. And as we can see, we have more space here. And now I like to have a clear button. For that, let's go back to our code and let's wrap this elevated button with a row widget. And let's just copy and paste it here. Let's remove this method and replace the text with a clear. And in this method here, I like to clear those points. Also call the stop timer function. And a setState to refresh the UI. Also, I have forgot to change the text with a clear. So I'll replace it with a clear. Now if I do a hot restart and bring our UI, bring our output, yeah, it is quite at the left bottom. So let's come here and set max axis alignment to the center. And let's add some space between those two buttons. Now if I do a hot restart and bring our UI, yeah, this is quite beautiful. Let's do a start. We can see we can clear it and it stops. Maybe I don't wanna stop, I just wanna clear the UI. For that, I will remove this timer and also set state is not needed here. Now if I press the start one and it paints pretty good, and if I press clear button it removes the old points. This is what I wanted to achieve so far. If we zoom it we can see this is not the line, but this is quite a smooth curve and it works pretty well. In order to enjoy it, you can make it full screen and play the start button and enjoy the rest of the time. I will provide the source code in the description, you can check it from there too.